Welcome back to the Arash Markazi Show, presented by the Sporting Tribune on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio in Southern California, 98.5 The Bet in Las Vegas, and the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760 in Hawaii. Just as a reminder, if you have a question or comment, or just want to win tickets to an upcoming game in Southern California, Las Vegas, or Hawaii, call our hotline 310-400-0340. All right, let's go out to the Circus Sports guest hotline, and right now we are joined by the Sporting Tribune's Steve Karp. I was sitting right next to Karpy during the, listen, it was called the fight of the year, called the fight of the past 5 years. Was not that. However, we saw a very dominant performance by Crawford defeating Spence. Steve Karp, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Slept in this morning for a change.
You know what? You
didn't get up
deserve
at my
it.
usual 6 a.m.
There we go. By the way, Steve Karp is everywhere. Next month, he'll be at the U.S. Open in New York. We are definitely growing and expanding as Steve Karp not only covers sports around the world, but follows Bruce Springsteen around the world. So let's start with the fight. Karpy, listen, you've covered the best. When I say the best, you've covered Mike Tyson. You covered Evander Holyfield. You covered Floyd Mayweather. Put it to context what you saw on Saturday night from Terence Bud Crawford.
I saw a clinic, which is what we headlined the story with in the Sporting Tribune, by a legacy fighter who is making his name as one of the greatest ever to strap on the gloves. Okay? I mean, what he did to Errol Spence, nobody, maybe outside of his camp, nobody outside of his camp expected this. He was just so dominant from the second round on, and I certainly didn't think it would be a 9-round fight. I thought it was going to go to distance. If I were a betting person, I would have bet that Crawford would win by decision, which means it would have gone the full 12 rounds. He just had an answer for everything that Spence tried to do. He took away his jab. He countered beautifully. He dictated the terms of the fight. His ring generalship was just stellar. Everything that Bud Crawford did in that ring last night was what you would want to teach a young fighter how to do.
Yeah. And it was truly a great performance. Also, just to take people behind the scenes, I basically had a bird's eye view of Arash and Steve Karp typing away, writing stories, making deadlines. Steve's giving play-by-play. It was a sight to see. And let me step away from the ring for a second, because I was there observing the spectacle that is a big fight in Las Vegas. I want to know for you, Steve, again, you've been to so many fights. What's the one celebrity that's shown up in your history of fights that has really gotten you, like, it just got you up out of your seat and kind of got you excited? Was it Bruce Springsteen? Who was it?
Bruce Springsteen? He's never been to a fight. What are you talking about?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to find out. So who then?
It was probably Bo Derek at Caesar's Palace.
Oh, yeah, now we're talking.
Who's
that?
Who's that?
Who's that?
Rematch.
Even I know who that is.
Bo Derek she still is gorgeous.
Yeah.
All these years later.
Google her. Hey, Adrian, Google her if you want to put her on the screen.
I'm Googling her right now. This is a lot.
How do you not, man? Come on, man. My parents, my parents been telling me about her for years.
Let me tell you guys. Here, Americas, all right. We're two different Americas. Has she been in? What movies is she in? Because she looks gorgeous. I'm not going to deny that. Tarzan.
Well, she was in the movie 10, so that's why.
That's where she made her. That's where she made her mark in 10.
Yeah,
I think she's on the California horse racing board.
She is, Steve. I was just going to bring that up because you would appreciate that. But yeah,
how could I forget?
I've seen her at Del Mar.
Yeah,
Arash, I've seen her at Del Mar. I never went up to her and asked for a hug or anything. I would never be
put
that
the Karp on her, baby.
I would respect her space, but I'm not a big celebrity person. But you're asking me a question, Adrian. I got to give you the answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
But there were plenty of celebrities at the fight last night. And Arash, you were taking roll call, it looked like.
I had to.
For our account on X.
Excellent. look at Steve Karp. I love it. You're 100% right. It's called X now. I don't know if I could ever call it that. There was a red carpet, but it was also 110 degrees outside, so I wasn't about to cover the red carpet.
It was red from the sun.
It was red from the sun. But Dame Lillard was there. Dame Lillard, who's still with the Portland Trailblazers, now with the Miami Heat. He was there. Really quick. I'll just do a quick. Manny Pacquiao, Draymond Green, Mike Tyson,
Chris Brown.
Yeah, Chris Brown.
Cardi B, my love, who, by the way, had a wonderful weekend in Las Vegas. By
Was
the way,
that
10 came out in 1979. That was at Dre's. That was at Dre's.
The microphone at some dude.
After they spilled water,
so some girl.
The microphone.
Somebody threw a drink at her.
That's right.
And she retaliated by throwing a $5,000 microphone at the person.
Like a Thor hammer.
The person held on to the microphone to sell it on eBay.
That's right.
That's what I would do if she threw it at me. Assuming I escaped all the goons that are there to protect her.
Yeah.
I would grab that microphone and sell it on eBay and buy Springsteen tickets with it.
Steve, I wanted
or Taylor Swift tickets. Hey,
those are expensive.
Arash, are you going to go to Taylor Swift in LA this coming week?
I'm not a Swiftie, I got to tell you. And listen, if someone had gotten me a ticket, I may go, but listen. I mean, there are people who would appreciate that ticket a lot more than I do. You remember when she was in Las Vegas, Steve?
My God, it was unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like it. So no, I will not be there. It's a great sort of a full circle moment for SoFi because she was supposed to be the first performance at SoFi, but then the pandemic happened. Obviously, that shut that down. So. Yes, listen, Swifties taking over Los Angeles. Brandon, I'm assuming you will not be at that show.
Yeah, no, I do like some Taylor Swift songs more than most men my age. But
What's your favorite?
What's my favorite? I like that new song she came out with. What was that with Lana Del Rey? Like,
Karma?
No, Snow on the Beach is pretty good. It's got a nice ethereal beat in the background. Very soft. I might lose my alpha male whatever you call it, status with that. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's a joke. But Steve, I wanted to switch gears back to the fight really quick because I have a question about. Arash mentioned this in the first segment, how he thinks the presumptive second fight between Spence and Crawford will be much closer, not a whole dominant showing from Crawford. What are your thoughts there? You think it's going to be much closer?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I hate to disagree with the boss on this. He's showing his ignorance. I'm afraid. There's no way in hell this thing is better the second time around.
Wait, Steve, let me just ask you. Hold up, Steve.
These guys can go up in weight as high as they want, and Bud Crawford will still kick this guy's ass.
All right,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
He's just so much better than Errol Spence. It's just, it's not reasonable to think that we would have a good fight the second time around. Look, if this was like the Pacquiao-Bradley fight where Pacquiao got robbed and they had to do a rematch, or something weird had happened, like a fan man type thing or an ear bite type thing, okay, I can see it. Sorry, not what I saw last night at T-Mobile, man. Spence had no shot. He had no plan B, no plan C. He's lucky the fight wasn't stopped earlier in the 7th round, to be honest.
Yeah.
He barely survived that round. His corner, I thought, might have been a bit negligent letting him come out for the 8th. And so if they want to do the rematch, fine. As a fight fan, I probably would not purchase it.
You're not going to have to purchase it, Steve, because you're going to be covering it for us. However, I will say this.
Well, once they fight at Madison Square Garden, you're sending me to New York again?
You love
I
New
don't
York.
think so.
Wait,
I don't think you are.
why do you think that they would fight in New York all of a sudden? That fight's going to be in Vegas.
Because New York still has the allure. The Garden is still a great place to fight. Both fighters have had success there. It's also the arena of my youth. Actually, I go back to the old
and that's the
Square
point.
Garden on 50th Street and 8th Avenue. So for me, it'd be Arash like you say, let's have the fight at the Forum.
I agree.
Just for old time's sake.
For old time. I think there's a reason big fights are staged in Las Vegas. There's more money to be made here. By the way, so listen.
Sports capital of the world.
I picked, yes, okay. I picked Crawford in the first fight. I would pick him in the second fight. I'm not going out on a limb there. But Steve, to your point, I think what's getting lost in the dominance of Crawford in the first fight is that Spence is a world-class fighter. And if this is like any sport, and I know boxing is different, blowouts happen, bad nights happen. You get blown out and there's a rematch. I should have probably done more homework in terms of, a guy getting blown out or a team getting blown out and coming back. And again, Crawford, in my view, is the better boxer, will win the second fight. I refuse to believe that the second fight will be as one-sided. Now, I could be wrong. Again, I'm saying that in the vein of I picked Crawford in the first fight. I would certainly pick him in the second. But Spence, I'm such a big Spence guy. And again, I picked Crawford, but I refuse to believe that the second fight will not be – it's a low bar. It's going to be better than the first fight that they had.
Well, I hope for your sake and for the sake of the promoters.
That's right.
And for the sake of Errol Spence and his camp that you're right. I don't share your optimism, Arash. Sorry.
No, I feel you.
I just don't. I mean, Crawford made him look very ordinary. Think about, we all know that he is a great fighter. He wasn't last night, but what Crawford did to him and just taking away his jab and taking away his footwork and not giving him room to do the things that he's comfortable doing, he made his life very uncomfortable in the ring. Okay, so I guess you're convinced that Errol Spence between now and the rematch should have take place. He's going to figure out a way to get his jab going, to get his footwork back on track, to take the fight to Crawford and find a way to hurt him and then beat him. Okay.
No, not beat him. I just think it'll be a better fight. I just think it'll be a better fight.
Well, what's the point of them fighting if he can't beat him?
Well, I'm not saying my prediction is he's not going to beat him, but
Okay.
you're gonna. Right. But listen, you're gonna.
Yeah,
there's money, as you know, Steve. There's money in a rematch. But by the way, to your point as well, the first fight was so one-sided. That's the challenge for the promoter. I'm in the minority. I get it. I'm 100% in the minority. The majority of people are probably like you. Why the heck do I want to see this fight again? It was so one-sided. Generally speaking, a very successful rematch from a box office, pay-per-view, buy rate point of view is a very good first fight. And you're like, I want to see that again. Nobody who saw this first fight generally is like, that's a fight I want to see again. We're going to see it again no matter what. I think it'll be in December. They may move venues because of it may not get as big of a draw. So it may be at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I do think we get the second fight this year.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And, if it's in Vegas, we'll be there for it.
We will be there.
If not, then I'll come to your house and we'll watch it on pay-per-view.
Let's do
You'll buy the pay-per-view. You can write it off.
I got it.
It'll be a legit
I got you.
expense. Adrian will come over. We'll have a party.
I love tease poofs. Anyway, Brandon, I want you to know, Brandon, that what's occurred within these last 15 minutes is me and you in the future running the Sporting Tribune X. Okay, so just this is the bickering and the arguments, the back and forth. This is us. Now, Steve, I have some serious questions to ask you. I'm tired of talking about this fight. All right, we talked about this in between commercials. All right, and I just want to know: do you watch First Take? And what are some of your favorite shows on TV?
I have not watched First Take in quite a while. I know Stephen A. Smith from his days of covering the Knicks for the New York Daily News. At one time, this guy was a really good sports writer. But now he's a big TV star and a big celebrity. And when he was making his way to his ringside seat last night, Michael Irvin's hugging him and some other guys are hugging him. He was like some
Obama.
big shot guy. Yeah, no. But look, you know what? For a guy from Queens, he did okay for himself. So good for him. But to answer your question, Adrian, honestly, I don't watch a whole lot of ESPN. I don't watch Sports Center. I don't watch, the shows like First Take or Pardon the Interruption or Around the Horn. I've seen the shows, but no, my TV habits kind of run towards, either news and live sports or like old TV shows. Like this morning, I got up, I watched Meet the Press, and then I went to Pluto TV, and I was able to watch like Honeymooners and a couple reruns.
Oh yes, this is what I thought.
The Honeymooners is a show I grew up on as a kid. I can probably quote you chapter verse from every line in the show. So that's kind of where my TV viewing habits lie at my age of 66.
Steve Karp, have you? I don't know why I said your full name. I'm always. Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny because we always address you as Steve Karp, but I should just call you Steve or Mr. Karp, whatever you prefer. But have you watched?
Steve is fine.
Have you watched Game of Thrones? I think you'd like it.
I've seen a couple of the episodes of it, yes, but as far as it being regular viewing for me, I don't have HBO, or at the time it was on HBO. I didn't have it, so it would be like if I'm in a hotel, covering something or on the road with Springsteen or whatever, and it was on, I would watch it. It was fine, I've seen Harry Potter movies. I mean, I'm not totally in the 1950s and 60s with my lifestyle and my viewing, although
this is making me so happy. This is what the show's for.
Arash? Well, wait, Adrian, why is this making you happy?
Because this show, we can get down to the sports and the nitty gritty, but so can everyone else. What makes this show different is that we're all great people and great personalities, and our paths are so much different than everyone else. So it just, we're getting an inside look at Steve Karp, and that's what I need.
Well, remember my, upbringing in Brooklyn, growing up there in the 1960s. Actually, I was born in the 50s, in 56. So the Dodgers were still playing at Ebbets Field when I was born. Okay. And I lived like a mile from Ebbets Field, my first couple of years of my life. And then we moved to Jersey and then back to Brooklyn. So it's just, I'm just a product of my environment.
Bars. Talk about it.
I mean, for me growing up, it was like watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan and stuff like that. There was no hip hop and, and
Brandon,
like that in those days.
Hey, I like all music, not just hip hop. I like country. I like hip hop. I like everything.
I didn't have that, to watch or listen to.
I mean, yeah,
that stuff didn't evolve until like the 80s and 90s
for
and
sure.
everything.
Steve,
so I mean,
Steve, how?
But it's go ahead.
I was just gonna.
Listen, we only got.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we only got 60 seconds left or so. But to Adrian's point, this is the sports capital of the world at certain times. It'll be the home of the Super Bowl this upcoming year, season. Formula One, and really, it's become a home of Team USA. So we're going to check back with Steve at some point this week, because Steve will be at Team USA training camp heading into the Team USA having a game at T-Mobile Arena on Monday. Again, this is not the team you'll see in the Olympics, but you'll see some familiar faces led by Captain America, Austin Reeves of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh, I thought Chet the Jet.
We're putting that nickname on him. All right, Steve, amazing job this weekend, my friend. Great job by you and Adrian tag teaming together for the first time. That was so cool to see. That's all the time we have for today. Let's do it again tomorrow. Until then, this is Arash Markazi saying stay safe and stay healthy.